to you all. It's Justin Dawson. It's the All Things TechIE podcast, and I hope you are all keeping well, keeping safe during this lockdown, and hopefully we're giving you loads of entertainment to listen to from the All Things TechIE podcast. This is your first time listening to us. Welcome along. We would love if you get involved by sending comments and also subscribing to our program. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on your favorite podcast store, and it really means a lot to us. And you can also follow us on Twitter, AB Tech Junkies, as well. Now, we've been recording a load of podcasts talking about COVID-19 and the link to 5G. What a conspiracy that is. We're talking with Graham Kirkpatrick and Mike Slammer. It is episode number 23. Episode 23 of the All Things TechIE podcast.
The All Things TechIE podcast is a product of the Extreme Media Network. For advertising and sponsorship opportunities, please visit www.extrememedia.ie. That's XTREME media.ie.
Graham, where are you driving to, man?
I'm actually going to go and rescue my father-in-law who's broken down.
Oh, shit.
I just literally connected on my computer. My wife's like, "Can you go pick my dad up?" I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "He's broken down." I was like, "I literally am just joining a Zoom call, babe." She's like, "I'll do it from the car. That's fine."
I love it. I love it. This is why we do this podcast, because we don't know what's going to happen next. And last time we had Graham in the car collecting his kids, this time we have Graham.
Hey, Justin, not to disappoint. And also to keep the tradition. Say hi, Penelope.
Hi.
Oh. You're not going to say hi to Justin.
Oh,
bless
not
her.
happy, not happy. No one's seen this coming. BlueJeans bought over by Verizon.
Yeah, I saw that, and somebody, I'm sorry, I don't recall who, but someone made a comment in response, and it was, if BlueJeans was so easy to use, how come we haven't heard about any of it until now?
Yeah.
So they got bought by Verizon. Cool, good for them, I guess. It seems to me that Verizon made a snap decision because they very easily could have gone off and made their own product. That could have been something they could have been working on this whole time. They have the technology, they have the funding, they have the brain power, so the fact that they didn't create their own product and they just snatched something else up, I think it says something about the future of the way business and telecommunications are going.
Yeah, I honestly believe it's gone past this whole idea of I was going to do. Graham's still working away on the car. We'll mute him at the moment. But I believe, Mike, it's the fact that, yeah, as you mentioned, they could have gone off and done this themselves. Whether they just said, "Hey, BlueJeans," I'm surprised BlueJeans is actually being priced at that amount. I just think anytime I was ever at ISE, there wasn't that many people involved in looking at BlueJeans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does everything that it says on the tin, but and compared to people pushing the Microsoft for Teams, pushing the Skype for Business, and now, like, out of the blue, like, when have we ever seen Zoom being talked about at ISE or Infocom, and then all of a sudden, pow, they're supposed to be worth over a couple $1 billion now.
Yeah.
But with that, Mike, do they deserve the slating that they're getting at the moment? Like, some people are saying, well, hold on a minute. If you use the product right, you won't have this problem.
Right. So I saw another great comment on the Twitter feed. What's one of the main things that drive your decisions in business? And one of our colleagues, Chris Nito, responded empathy. And for me, that was it. That's the end. That's the end of discussion. Empathy, the human factor. And that's what Zoom got. That's what Zoom got right, is the human factor. They made it easy, they made it simple, and they went and created a free platform for people to use. It was relatively easy. My dad, who's in his 70s, technologically adversive, doesn't really care to get involved. He's got a computer, he does his thing, but God bless his soul. I love my dad so much. He'll type in the email in the Google search bar to get to his email, right?
Yeah, right.
So it just happens, and all the training in the world. But I even got my dad to use Zoom. Yeah. So now he can join Zoom. We can have face-to-face conversations, and he loves it. And it opened up his mind to doing more things and being more engaged in technology. So Zoom, making it that easy, making it as simple as hitting the button, the one-touch experience, that user interface, working with your own integrated webcam, your integrated microphone, seamless.
I think there's two products that made it seamless. One is Zoom. The other one is Google Meet. The only problem is I think Google slightly missed the boat by locking it inside the Google Cloud. It could have made it a bit more separate. As in, do I need, people started thinking, well, hold on a minute, do I need a Gmail account for this to use it? And then finally figure out, no, actually you don't. Compared to Zoom, like you mentioned, there's 9 digits. You type in the meeting ID and you get in. Okay. Yep. Now they've restricted it further, and they put passwords on it. But people were complaining, going, I've just got Zoom bombed. Yeah, well, if you are the likes of, once again, we talk about politics. If you are the likes of Boris Johnson, and Graham will back me up on this, if you're like the likes of, I'll try and unmute Graham. Can I unmute Graham?
Yeah. Sorry.
We're talking about Boris Johnson, Graham, who actually set up a meeting with all his parliamentary friends and tweeted a screenshot and had the meeting ID at the top of it.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, how if you don't want to be Zoom bombed, well, we can lock the meeting inside the call. Usually that comes up with a message saying the meeting room is locked. The screenshot showed that the meeting room wasn't locked, so there was potential of Boris getting Zoom bombed in that call.
Yeah, we've NEC Display Solutions, well, actually NEC Europe, which is obviously the parent corporation company for all of the Zoom users now. They've enabled enterprise-wide passwords and waiting rooms now for non-NEC staff that are joining. So NEC staff can join a meeting straight through. Yeah. Don't have to worry about going into a waiting room, don't have to worry about the passwords. But if you're joining on a non-NEC address, and that includes my European colleagues in Display Solutions, because they're on a different mail server to us. Therefore, they have a different email address, which means even though it's an internal Display Solutions call, they would still have to join via a meeting room and via a password. Yet, if I was to have 5 UK colleagues with me, they could all join without any barriers in place. But you're right, it's Zoom bombing, and I think that's a great phrase, because it can be so misconstrued, Zoom bombing. But anyway, but yeah, Zoom bombing is only going to be as prevalent as people are weak in the fact of keeping security and disciplines together when using it.
Yeah, like the fact of something grown of such size and caliber in such a short amount of time, people are going to try and take advantage of it. And the point is, Zoom has opened up to education quicker than any other platform. Like you talk about Microsoft Teams, we talked about it in 2 episodes ago. Microsoft Teams, that it's Microsoft as seen as Microsoft for education, and they weren't able to hold the pressure. Their systems caved over. That is the actual truth of the matter. along with the fact that a lot of people use Zoom just for the, as Mike said, for the ease of how to use Zoom. But I just mute Graham there for a minute. But the other thing with Zoom is I was listening to Eric Yuan do a Ask Eric Anything webinar yesterday, and Eric actually turned around and said they are going to start paying hackers to find the flaws in their system, which I don't think Microsoft do with Microsoft Teams now. I could be corrected, Mike.
Yeah, no, that's those are really good points. And one thing that came up in my company's discussions regarding security, we did have some folks reach out with concerns, and they expressed, I think rightfully so. And this goes to what a lot of people, they look at the media and they hear these phrases, and they hear the media say the same things over and over. Oh, this person got their meeting or their class hacked, and there was porn, and there was racist commentary, and there was loud noises, disruptive. So of course people are going to be a little concerned, and when that came up, my response was, well, are you sharing your meeting ID with anyone outside the company? No. Okay, who's going to be joining your meeting? Oh, just, some colleagues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, okay, well, the good thing is we are not a public education company who are sharing our meeting IDs. And let's just be real with kids, right? So teenagers, they're stuck at home. They have this new dynamic they have to work through. They're blown off steam, and kids are going to be kids, right? So yeah. They're going to be disruptive. And what's one really funny thing to do? Oh, hey, Jim, I'm going to play some porn in the background while I'm supposed to be taking my math test.
Yeah. Like, it's all internal type of people that's doing this, and the universities are aware that it's internal people that are doing these ends of things. But you even mentioned it. It's knowledge. It's knowledge. It's key to these problems. Zoom has turned on a load of security features by default now, and even have on their latest update for Zoom as the app, have an extra security button. Now, the only reason I updated once and then I rolled back simply because I used the green screen and with my camera, and I've admitted that actually, listeners and viewers, I have a green screen behind me. This isn't me on the 10th floor overlooking Dublin City. But
what? That's crazy.
No, but it's more the fact of they turned on the security feature, which by default everyone has to have a password now on their Zoom meetings. As Graham was saying, you can override that as administrative functions as well. But I have seen with a load, like I'm a scout leader as well in my spare time, I've seen a load of scout groups going, hey guys, here's our virtual campfire that we're going to do tonight on Facebook, and here's the password. You have just given out the password on social media. You might as well not have a password. I don't get it. I really don't. Graham, have you anything to add? Graham's closing the door. Graham's turning on the light.
I'll go back to what I said a minute ago, Justin. It's about disciplines. I think it's very clear. You can see the people that are new to this experience. Unfortunately, they're making the same mistakes a lot of the time. And the challenge now, I guess, really is whether or not people can learn from the mistakes and can evolve with it, because this isn't going away.
No.
I read a report yesterday on I think it was SCN magazine, maybe CRM magazine, that 80% of interviewed workers that currently have an office job are realigning themselves to be positioned closer to home and further from the office space when COVID-19 finishes, because they believe they're more productive, they need to have trusted employees. But at the end of the day, though, if you make simple mistakes, like you said, about publishing passwords to Zoom calls, which are supposed to be confidential between intercompany meetings or companies and customers, that discipline, or lack of discipline, I should probably say, is going to end any hopes or aspirations of being able to work away from the office space. At least when you're in the office space, people have got the firewall, you're controlled in. I know you've got VPNs, but I mean, people say don't put your VPN on if you want to use Zoom, because then you're not connecting to another connection, which means you've got more bandwidth down the pipe. And there's lots that people say which are designed to try and increase the optimum experience, but sometimes, obviously, by increasing the optimum experience, you're opening the risk as well. And like I said, the amount of times I hear people saying, close your VPN down before you join a Zoom call, and I'm like, really? Okay. If you say so.
I know
I'm not doing that, but if you say so.
It's like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. No. Or like I've read some security features, or some people writing blogs going, "Oh, don't give out your personal meeting ID number while using Zoom." It's like, why not? If you have a password and you have invited a selected people, you should be able to see straight away before. Now, the one thing that I honestly think Zoom needs to improve on a security feature is if someone is ringing in by phone.
Yes.
You should have a feature where once they ring in by phone, you have to either type in your name using characters or say your name, that it automatically, when you hear the beep going bing, when someone joins the meeting, if it actually, even computerized, said, Joe Blogs has joined this meeting. Something to that nature, where you know that the caller that's called in has joined the meeting. But again, go on.
Sorry, that's a great thing to bring up, and I 100% agree with you. That is something that should be worked on. I can't tell you how many times monitoring meetings, with executive directors, a lot of times people will just call in, but they won't mute themselves. They'll put it on speaker and they'll put it on the counter, and you can hear the dog barking in the background. And it's really hard to get that person's attention. You have to shout out the phone number, be like, hey, 4488. Who are you? Can you please mute your phone? And then it's like, well, what if this is like, an executive director or something, and
you've just given out the personal mobile phone number to the executive director.
Exactly. So not only are you giving out your number, but you're also highlighting that you are someone who can't be trusted with technology because you're not using it properly.
Right.
So you basically outed yourself. And there's so many times people just call in and they just will not hit mute, and you hear everything.
Or not only that, Mike, it's they have tried to dial in with their computer and they realize, oh wait, I don't have a headset and I don't have a microphone. In fact, I'm using the microphone on my laptop. Wait, I can't hear everyone properly. Wait till I just dial in on a separate account with my mobile phone. And then you have two people in the same call with the same link, and then you're hearing feedback just from one area, one location, and you're trying to explain to people you don't need to be in the call twice.
Yep.
And the other great, sorry to interrupt there, Mike, the other great one as well, which in the earlier days of this, when people still had the choice between in the office or at home, is where you had multiple people in an open office on the same call, as opposed to multiple people going into a meeting room and having one dial in. You'd have like 5 or 6 people in maybe, 25-meter squared office, all on the same call. And you'd hear it for them talking to you, but then you'd hear it through that laptop. Yeah. And you get it like 6 times over. You're like, guys, mute your mics. You're all in the same room.
Echo. Yeah. The one thing I loved, you talked about security there, Mike, earlier, and maybe Graham, you might know the answer to this. I was trying to get this answer from the Zoom webinar I was on yesterday. You can turn on the feature that only allow authenticated users to join your meeting, which means that it can be locked down to a domain, for example, NEC. And you're talking about people inside NEC UK, they don't have to join the waiting room. Does it have to be one domain?
I do not know.
Yeah, I tried to get the answer out of that from Zoom on the call, and they were inundated. Like they had something like over 300 Q&A going on at any given time. But it's one that if any of our listeners know that, can you have multiple domains to lock it down to? I guess for you, Mike, it's just simply Discovery Channel's domain, and that's it.
Yeah, essentially. Anyone, technically speaking, if you have the meeting ID and the password, as we've now instituted passwords globally for Discovery, then it doesn't matter if you're an authenticated user or not. You can still join.
Mm-hmm.
So now our legal team's kind of pushing on, meeting hosts, and a lot of retraining is going on where if I'm on your meeting, Justin, you are in charge of making sure that I'm supposed to be here.
Yes.
So, as opposed to la, 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 okay, cool. Here's a person who I don't know has just joined, la, 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 la.
Yeah. Now, the other one that I noticed on security features that they mentioned that they are changing either in the next update, which could be as soon as this weekend, is that you can select which location you want your call to be ported through. And mainland China is being switched off. For Discovery Channel, would that pose as an issue for you guys? No. Graham, would it be an issue for NEC of where your call's being ported?
I think it would be. I mean, we're quite a cautious and conservatively conformative company.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally, I think most Japanese companies are. I think it's in the culture and in the nature to be that way. Like I said earlier in the call, if you take, technically I work for NEC UK Limited because I've got a UK contract. So I'm in the NEC Corporation. Display Solutions is in Munich. They're on a different server. So I don't even get access to mutual files. I get access to files that are shared in our cloud platform, but anything which is on a S drive, T drive, I don't get to. I can't get to any of the drives. So yeah, and we've got multiple splinters of that globally. Right. We're not like the Discovery Channel where it's one company. I mean, I think there's 14 legal registered entities just in our London HQ.
Right.
So and that's probably 14 subdomains of other parts of the company as well. So yeah, I mean, I think that they would be very conservative as to where people were.
This is why you have virtual backgrounds, because you might have your daughter join you to read bedtime stories to.
She's got a proper phone as well. Look, on her new iPad case.
Oh, I like that.
I'm trying to teach her how to see how she can dial up on a phone like that, and she's like, no, not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
No,
but
I want a phone, and
well, sometimes I get big teddies that come into my meeting room as well. Teddy, yeah, that's exactly the way my son Kieran would say Teddy. She's gone off to get her Teddy now, hasn't she, Graham? Yeah.
She's got to get her boothful now. But yeah, I mean, I think that, again, it's going to be down to security. If there's a certain amount of being able to control inbound, outbound traffic correctly, then whether it's hosted in London, it's hosted in Shanghai, hosted in the bottom of the Pacific Rim anywhere, I don't think it really matters as long as the company that owns that has got confidence that it's secure and it's scalable for when the business needs to scale up or scale down.
I asked Tim Albright this question earlier on. I did a Under the Spotlight with Tim Albright. Coming up soon on All Things TechIE. That's another podcast episode. But I asked him about Zoom as well. And I have to ask you guys, do you see, someone brought that Teddy in.
What's there? Justin will see Boothful.
Oh, I like that, Teddy.
So Boothful has a long story. So she dropped a 46-inch TV on her hand at the age of 21 months old. She said to have 7 surgeries, and this was her I'm coming home bare after her first surgery. So this literally has been through thick and thin with her for the last 3.5 years.
Wow. And we have to find out.
This is cool. I'll be down. We'll be on the sofa.
We have to find out how this dropping a TV happened. No? Do we even ask? No.
She was trying to chase the cat. We had Justin, do you remember a company called Alpha Sim Design based out of Manchester.
I've
We had
heard.
a really nice, it's like a set of steps, almost like the side of a pyramid TV stand,
Okay.
where like you had your subwoofer, which is generally bigger and deeper at the bottom, and then skybox, etc., which is fine, but you don't expect to have to childproof it for a 2-year-old that sees it as a set of steps and as a cat.
Well,
So she climbed up it, and the cat was on top of the telly. She went to reach the cat and pulled it, and it was only on a TV stand, but so the whole thing came forward, trapped her hand, and yeah. So
I'm talking about the cat with my hand.
yes, I'm talking about your hand.
Stop.
So that's how it started.
Wow. Well, everyone needs a teddy like that. So, like, I still have my childhood teddy. But going back to Zoom, do you think that when all this is over, will people, especially educations and schools, or people that's got the free license and realize that, like, okay, the 40-minute limitation has been taken off, do you see them staying with Zoom as soon as COVID-19 is over?
That is definitely something to look at. I think a lot of educational environments will see some value in it. I think they will walk away and perhaps even go full throttle in making a purchase and getting, authenticated users. If nothing else, it can help cut down on the amount of class time. I'm thinking about, maybe the New York City school system isn't the best example, but just in general, I think, cutting down on class time in school, or maybe opening up, there's so many kids out there with different learning disabilities who, will probably respond to using Zoom rather than being in class. How many kids are in classrooms in Ireland or the UK right now?
Yeah. Well, the way I described it, Mike, is that this is the new social media. Like, we have AV Hangouts where there's one that Chris Nito is hosting later on, where everyone can have a beer and chill out. And the last AV Hangout there was over 100 people nearly. This is what is getting people together. And I think forget Facebook, forget Twitter. Twitter and Facebook, they have their uses. We can jump on a call and we can spend all night long talking here, and I have not seen Zoom buffer out on me at all. I don't, you need to have the slowest bandwidth for it to lag in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, seriously. And, even that, we do have users who log in, and our team had to send them hotspots to connect to utilize. And even over Zoom, even over hotspot, Zoom had no problems connecting. Mm-hmm. So how can you walk away from such a powerful tool, know?
Yeah. What do you think, William? Do you think there's going to be a bit of a dropout of users and customers once COVID's over?
Inevitable.
I'm not sure there's necessarily dropouts. I think allegiances might be tested by whoever's going to give the user the most. I mean, I don't know anything about you. Let's say Cisco comes back and says we'll give schools an hour uptime per call. That's a lesson. If Zoom stays at 40 minutes and Cisco gives them the hour, I mean, and it's the same price plan, the schools are going to go with what's beneficial to them and their users. And they may have to recognize that, okay, as part of it, you can only have, 50 connections where you've got 100 for Zoom. That's a conversation and choice they have to make. And I think that's possibly where the battle will go. It'll become about user features and functionality. I do think, however, I think there's going to be a natural drop-off. I think there are going to be people that will have to go back to bricks and mortar, desks and spaces.
Right. Yeah.
Where maybe Zoom accounts that they have right now are either deactivated or limited because they'll have access back to room systems or they'll have access back to open huddle spaces, etc. I also think as well that the amount of mobile adoption will probably slow down as well when COVID-19 is done. Because at the moment, I mean, we have a weekly family quiz. There's 5 households, 3 countries, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But you've got an iPad user and an iPhone user and a PC user, and you can tell the difference by the experience on how they are at the other end. So I think that people will be trying to find that common platform as well, where it's either all mobile or all PC based. I think that people try to shy away from interoperability between devices.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it, and that's where Zoom has come in and been able to do it. All these, like I always go back to the Skype example. People don't understand that. Like, hold on a minute, it's not working. Oh wait, yeah, I haven't updated my app, and that's what's not working. You know, or I've forgotten my password or whatnot. Compared to with Zoom, it just works. It seamlessly works.
Sorry to interrupt. I mentioned it on the lunch, breakfast, dinner, brown bag call with David Danto last week. So that would be on the Wednesday. So last Tuesday, I had my first conversation with an AV consultant that had been asked to give a alternative plan for a new space on how much it would cost for a company to supply the same desk, chair, computer, microphone, camera, and external display to every user and allow them to have home office with broadband to what it would be per square footage for them to stay in an office in central London.
Wow. And like is that, has the results actually been published yet?
No, I have asked for them though. I'd love to. I will obviously respect the discretion and not mention who the consultant are, who the end user are. But I was like, well, when they phone you up and say, yeah, I need 2,400 desktops, you're like, for what? And they try and explain it to you, like, oh, okay.
Well, I actually believe that will come in cheaper. It has to, because like you probably know Jared Ewart.
Yeah, I know Jared.
Yeah, and Jared and I had a similar conversation even before COVID happened, or maybe just the week after COVID happened. And he said, no, just realize that like working remotely, like how much does it cost even to have one of these rent and office spaces in Dublin City? You're talking about 30,000 per annum easily, you know, to have something like that versus this, you know, and per square foot, you know, like this office here, it does look like I'm overlooking Dublin City here, listeners, but this is a box bedroom of my house, which is my office, which I've been doing all my work from throughout this COVID-19 crisis. You know,
likewise, I've been off this week. I've decorated in here.
Yeah,
I mean, if I was to zoom out because I'm on a Hudley Go, I mean that's an eaved ceiling. There's a sofa there which she's now sat on. The door you can see. All I've done, my desk was in that corner, but I deliberately have gone for a topaz teal so I can use it as a green screen if I want to.
Yeah.
Which isn't too dissimilar to the colour that Mike's got behind him, I see. But
yeah.
So yeah, and but I have the luxury of having a space that I can make a dedicated office. When COVID-19 is finished and you're trying to broker multi-million-pound deals, people seeing your kitchen cupboards in the background, is that going to be acceptable in a year's time?
Yeah.
It's acceptable now because everyone's had to panic. Everyone's had to maneuver. Everyone's had to get mobile quickly so they can continue to function. In a year's time, it's been able to see like your cat jumping up to try and get his water bowl, which is on the side. Is that going to be acceptable to people in the call? I'd like to hope so. I
think things have to change after this square. You know, like people, the air is clearer. You know, noise pollution is down. You can hear birds singing again. You look at Yosemite National Park. There's bears walking around Yosemite National Park.
There's fish in Venice again for the first time in like 70 years.
Yeah, you know, this has to be good for the system. This has to be good for the environment, and this has to be good. People are saying about mental health. Yeah, mental health, because people aren't seeing their family and being able to give other family members a hug, or even cousins playing with cousins, kids playing with kids on the street. That's the problem. Okay. But as for work-life environment, you know, being able to work from home, if possible, should be an option. You know, it's saving. And I believe, if anything, for both of you, I believe that it's going to be hot desks in a lot of places now. And should you have to go in, they're saving on space.
Mm-hmm.
apart from the times where you're in a higher ed university capacity, you go, and I just think like there's times even when out of term where I'm on campus, and I think, my God, I'd just love to know the actual figures of keeping a campus of this size and caliber open. You know, like all the restaurants might be closed across the campus, you know, but you would still have lights going on in all the major buildings, and then cleaners walking around, and you say, whoa, this must be costing a fortune, you know?
So it's so interesting to hear you guys say that. Yesterday, our HR team sent out a survey company-wide. And the survey was really just kind of taking a temperature, I felt like. One of the questions, for example, was, how do you feel the company has, how do you feel that the company has prepared you for working from home? You know, and then, you know, it's a list of like, you know, different situations like, you know, are you enjoying Zoom? Is Microsoft Office working? You know, how's the suite? What's your connection like? And it's just taking a temperature. And the next question was all about how you felt about working from home. So, you know, it ran you through a whole bunch of different scenarios. How do you feel about not having to commute? How do you feel about, you know, maybe sleeping in a little bit or getting to bed earlier? And then the next question was, you know, how often, or sorry, I'm trying to remember the exact wording, but how often do you feel you need to be in the office? And it was like, you know, 4 out of 5 days a week, 3 out of 5 days a week. So I kind of got the impression that Discovery was kind of taking the temperature of how people feel about working from home, because as you just said, we're moving to, you know, hot desking or keyword agile work environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not even going to have enough desks to fulfill every single employee if they came to work every single day.
Yes.
So now that we're forced to work from home, so many employees are starting to reevaluate and say, well, what do I need to work from home? How can I make this work for me? Because moving, you know, we were supposed to move June 1, you know, an entire workforce into a brand new building on June 1. Not happening, no longer. But a lot of people were coming up and saying, how are we going to do this? I have a desk. I come to my desk every day. This is where I get my coffee. I have a locker. This is where I do all my editing. This is where I do my production. But now I'm not going to have that anymore. Now I'm going to be forced to work agile. So, you know, cue COVID-19, and guess what? You're working agile no matter what. You've got no choice.
Were they renting this space, Mike, or is this a fully built new building for
This is a brand new building. Construction got halted a few weeks ago, and it won't reopen for quite a long time.
And there's the question. You know, you say they might be thinking now, well, do we actually need all this space? Do we, you know, like we've gone past the stage. I always believe, and putting my old media degree hat on, is we've gone past the stage of saying we don't need a studio to broadcast. Our state broadcasters, you know, and even our radio stations. Like I only found out recently that one of the national radio stations here, Today FM, one of the presenters is only living like about 4 kilometers up the road from me, you know, but has the equipment at home, you know, dialing into the, well, I use the word dialing, but on broadband, into the system, and she's able to enter a program, you know, and that's going out on FM across Ireland. You know, the technology has changed. Why need to be in a studio if you don't need to be, you know? All our TV programs. It is weird though. Like we do have, well, I say we, as in the UK have, I just have to claim Ireland in the UK. The UK have programs like Graham Norton. They have Ant Deck, Saturday Night Live. But it's weird without an audience, isn't it, Graham?
It is. And I was just about to comment to Mike's piece as well, actually, that it's a conversation that came up with a couple of my colleagues last week. Is it agile working that we're in now, or is it enforced working? Because at the moment, I have no choice but to work where I'm at. Agile gives me the ability to work anywhere I need to, whether it be from an airport lounge, a train, or anything like that. And like you said, I can use a mobile phone for a hotspot, I can use my home broadband, whatever the cases are. But you're right. Just to now tie those two conversations together, it's about the environment now.
Yeah.
And I think the environment's going to dictate a lot of what people do. I mean, if you are, I don't know, you're a CEO of a company, you've got young twins, for argument's sake, that you know are feeding or waking every 2 hours, and the expectation is that the nanny's going to need like to be using this, and you've got the background, that's never going to work. So the guy's going to have to find somewhere else, or the lady's going to have to find somewhere else. Or it might be the fact that you've got, I don't know, a one-bedroom flat. You might be in a shared house. I don't know the cases are. I think the environment's going to dictate a lot of what people can do when we come out of COVID-19. I also think as well, and it certainly is a challenge that I know that friends and colleagues have experienced, is going to be making sure that they have the tools. I don't want to say the equipment, but I'm saying the tools to work from home. They have a chair, they have a desk, they have a quiet space, they have somewhere to store stuff. Like, I mean, when I moved around, so, I mean, my bookcase is here now. I've got my Avixa course material. I've got somewhere to put my business cards. It's not just thrown in the only space. I mean, I've actually sorted it out now. Now, like I said, I'm in a privileged position that I've converted this small bedroom, similar to you, Justin, into an office. But I'm in a different position. I choose to live 90 miles from my office so that I can afford a bigger house for the same money as what I pay if I was living near London. So that's a decision I make, but that comes with consequence. Like you said, I don't have to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning if I'm working from home. I don't get home at 8 o'clock at night. I can sit down and have dinner with my family like I have done tonight. But the whole tide for me, and it really has woken me up, and Justin, I briefly explained to you, I mean, my wife's a key worker. She still gets in a car, goes to work, interacts with people all day, every day, comes home, baths, in case she doesn't know who she's come in contact with. In fact, she found out, what we're at now, Friday, she found out Tuesday night, she was supposed to be in work Wednesday morning, that the road immediately next to her, they had 10 cases found last week in a care home. Yeah. And my wife's like, do I really know when I'm going to work? Yeah. So I think the environment is going to speak a lot. Yeah, I really do. But I also think as well that you'll get people that are forced back to the office space. I genuinely believe people will be forced back to the office space for one reason or the other.
No, you're 100% right. And real quick, I want to touch on the fact, one word you said, which kind of lit me up a little bit, was privilege. You know, we are absolutely privileged to be able to work where we are, you know, at home, choose to go to an office. You know, I do a lot of on-site support. Yep. So, you know, I would say 75% of my job is in an office. You know, but being able to work from home, having the tools and the equipment, you know, being able to work for companies, work for ourselves, and set ourselves up for success, you know, that is a privileged position that a lot of people around the world simply will never get to have for all varying reasons.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I know for myself, it's always important for me to keep that in mind. And I like to reach out to my friends, make sure they have the tools and equipment they need. When we do our virtual happy hours at night, you know, it's not just educating them how to use Zoom, but, you know, general chat and conversation around technology and what type of careers are we in that can work from home, that can utilize remote work support. What type of careers come with benefits? And real quick, I got reached out to today via a contract recruiting agency trying to get me to a contract hire job. And it's like, in this day and age, in this environment, you want me to go on contract? You want me to leave my job with benefits? Yes. You looked at my LinkedIn profile, you know where I work. You know, what makes you think I'm going to want to leave this to go for a 6-month contract? Are you crazy?
Yeah, and exactly. And who would go on a contract basis now? Or even if someone's trying to recruit you, and this goes for any job, not even audiovisual, I think a probationary period even at this stage should not even be allowed on the basis of, well, hold on a minute, we're going through COVID-19 here. You know, anyone that wants to change job does not want to be put on a probation.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you guys in the UK and the EU, you know, your healthcare is not tied to your employment like us Americans are. So,
Yes.
you know, where our job is really demands and puts all the qualifiers around the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
So if you leave your job, you are leaving your life. That's how it's set up here, you know?
I totally agree, Mike. But where I see you, just going back to even you talking about office spaces and Discovery building new places, Graham talking about distance of travel. Yeah, I can relate, Graham. I do not that many mileage. I know it in kilometers. I was driving 100 kilometers a day in and out of work. I don't know what that equivalates to in miles, but it's more the fact I believe that post COVID-19, there's so much room for all these hot desk workplaces or free spaces. I don't know what the exact word and terminology is, where you can just rent a space. So in other words, anyone could be working in these office spaces as hot desks. I think a lot of more companies are going to adapt to that and just go, hold on a minute, if people are living too far out, you know, we don't have to pay for the broadband. We just hope that this third party place will have up to speed desks, connections, have your telephone line, have your video conferencing rooms, whatever the case may be. And that means that it might, like I say, a lot of businesses will start summing up, well, do we have a set place, set building, or do we allow people to have that opportunity to either one, work from home, or B, go to your nearest office space and connect in? I think there's room for it. I think there's big room for it.
Yeah, I think the excuse me. I think one of the other key indexes as well out of COVID-19, which I think a lot of companies are going to have to, and we discussed it, I think, on the last one, Justin, if I remember correctly, is there's got to also be a change in mindset from the top down, not from the bottom up.
Yes.
Because most of your executives are going to be 50-year plus. They were in the office at the 18. This is new to them because they're executives. They're still tied to the office because they've got to be seen as being the heartbeat of the company that's going on.
Yeah.
There has to be a change in their natural mindset. It really does. I mean, even if they turn around and say, we're going to take 1 day a week working from home, just 1 day a week, and they start to feel and reap the benefits of it, it becomes easier for them to understand and flex the benefits to the business. If the mindset can't be changed from the executives down, the company will continue to make the same lack of traction and the same mistakes when it comes to building office spaces, wasting space. I mean, I look at a company I used to work for. We had like 7,000 square foot as the sales space for 13 desks.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
And we ended up having round tables just to make it look like we had a meeting room, but there was no walls.
Yeah.
So it was never going to be a confidential meeting. It was just that people used to sit there and chinwag over a quote or look at some designs where it didn't matter. It could be open space. But I think disciplines and mindsets are going to be one of the biggest factors that need to change post-COVID-19.
Well, do you know what I also found even more comfortable is I've had meetings with management now virtually, and I feel that I'm being listened to better simply because we're in a virtual call, if that makes sense. You know, there's less distractions. You know, I'm having a meeting one-to-one with my line manager or whoever the case may be, and simply because, now, okay, everyone has kids at home or whatever the case may be, but it was early hours of the morning, the kids were doing something else, and I was able to just rat out what I needed done with the manager.
And Justin, may I just interject something? So that's a really, really key point in the way that I have tried to change the discipline of people that I speak to frequently. So I make sure every call I have is in my calendar so that my phone is tied up to the fact of do not disturb because I'm in a meeting.
Yep.
So people can't call me and it rings. It just hits the do not disturb and goes straight to the voicemail. So this can be sat facing here and it's on charge right now. And okay, I see social media posts coming through, but if anybody calls me, it goes to voicemail because the calls are now, as long as the call doesn't overrun past the allotted time slot I've had, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, I use my calendar system religiously now. What's that, Princess?
Check my iPad. It's just
20%. Good.
It's good.
So I now use my calendar system completely religiously because I know that it helps me become more disciplined and it stops me with distractions other than this one from external influences. But also, I try to get colleagues to say now, because with video you've become ever present, I think is a polite way of saying it. I don't want to see readily available because I think we've always been readily available. We just choose whether or not we want to take ready available, but we're ever present on video because people can just dial you. So I'm like, have a look at the video first. If there's a red icon or a red camera on me, I'm busy.
Again, good practices, Graham.
Yeah.
You know, and this is where people that aren't familiar with video conferencing or virtual meeting environments should be learning these tools. You know, red light means I'm busy, you know, and integrate it with your Google Calendar, integrate it with your calendar, whatever calendar you use, you know, like again, and between using Zoom and using platforms like Slack and whatever, like I'm guessing, Mike, that you guys use some type of platform to know where everyone is, what everyone's doing when they're working from home or even working.
Yeah, we do. You know, and 90% of it is all through Zoom. We've moved away from, we're moving away from Skype, but, you know, Zoom chat has kind of replaced Skype. And, you know, a lot of business units do use Slack globally. So there's constant ways to get in touch with each other, you know, short of a phone call, you know, and it's a no-brainer. You know, like Graham was saying, you know, he has the do not disturb set up, you know, linked to his phone and the calendar, which is brilliant. You know, and I've been saying early on from the outset of this, you know, being Zoom oriented and these video conferencing, there's also this, you know, and this could be a cultural thing too, but when you're in the office, everyone knows you're working, you're busy, you're doing stuff, you know, you're there, anyone could pop in at any time and grab you, but your attention might be a little wonky. You know, if you're sitting if we were all in a conference room right now, you know, we could be talking face to face.
Yeah.
But, you know, I might have 3 other projects going on and I might be, you know, checking it out and being like, oh, hey, you know, hold on 1 second, guys. I got to take this, you know.
Yeah.
But on Zoom meetings, a lot of people are just, no, I'm in this meeting. We're having a conversation. I'm talking to you guys. You're talking to me. I don't need my phone because what's happening on my phone is also happening on my computer, you know.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I think distraction level and the need to be more focused and the need to kind of prove to others that you're focusing, it plays a key role.
Now, I have an issue with people that don't use video calls. So I have a real issue with people that I really do.
Tell me more.
I don't make anything of it. I'm just like, guys, it's a video call. I want to see you guys. Like, yeah, but I'm wearing a t-shirt. I haven't put a shirt on in 5 weeks now.
Yep. And do you know what? I'm starting the trend, and I'm going to bring it up in Chris Nito's AV drinks later on. I was saying it earlier on to Tim that I think now, luckily enough, Graham, you probably have decided to go bald at an early stage. Yeah, well, you know, this is a mop of hair, right?
I was going to say, so is Mike.
And Mike, yeah, you know what? I think we should start doing it like as this goes on, you know, who can come out with the craziest hairstyle or just shave it all off, or, you know, I'm thinking of just doing the whole egghead now, like just go with take the beard off as well and just go egghead as these weeks go on and just let it all grow back.
Can I give you 2 bits of advice on that, Justin? On serious, 2 bits of advice if you decide to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The first bit of advice I would suggest to you is, if you're going to do it, make sure you have got plenty of baby lotion.
Oh yeah, I'd say
because that first couple of times you do that, because you've got so much natural oil protecting your head. As soon as you spread that away, your head is going to be sore for the first couple of times. I had exactly the same.
It's either that or his blade one or something like that, or just shave it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go Bic like this,
yeah,
then be prepared to have to moisturize. They hit the piss out of me at work because I openly admit I moisturize. I shave, I moisturize every day, because if I don't, this gets sore.
Yeah,
it's
really
so important. Graham is so on the money with that. I use cocoa butter personally.
Okay.
And it feels great. It smells nice. It's so good. What I would recommend is definitely, take a trimmer, no guard or anything. Just take it all the way down, see how it feels for a little bit. And if you decide you want to go the full Bic, just remember, gentle pressure, and don't be afraid. There's not a lot of protection up there. So if you get a little cut, it's going to bleed, but it's okay.
And it bleeds a lot.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah.
And what Mike said was the second thing I was going to say, start short. So, like, if you're thinking about it, maybe go to like a 3 first and go, actually, I want to go shorter, and try. Because if you just go straight off, you have got nowhere to go.
You've got
to put up with that until it grows back.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll just show you one time because when I was body. I'll just your friends.
We're all just listening to this.
Yep.
That's me being told off that I'm spending too much time on Zoom, and I'm supposed to.
Graham, before we let you go, I was asking Mike about this. BlueJeans being bought over by Verizon. What's that? Is that a secret move to take on Zoom?
No, I need that torch.
Sorry, say again. Sorry, Justin.
BlueJeans being taken over by Verizon.
I see that yesterday.
Is that a competition to Zoom? Is this going to be a big?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I mean,
I think they if they're going to do it, they've come in too late.
I think it's. I mean, that's the second such like merger in as many weeks, because was it T-Mobile and AT&T merged like 15 days ago, maybe?
T-Mobile and Sprint, yeah.
That's it. So, I mean, I think Verizon needed something to stay with the other big carriers.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have a hosted platform. That's basically what they bought from BlueJeans. I mean, BlueJeans themselves don't have a truly dedicated enterprise platform. They bring everybody together in a mix and match environment.
Yeah.
So I think the Verizon, I think they're probably, I think they want to think they can compete now.
Yeah.
The truth of it is they're not the video carrier. They're just they're the virtual space now. Their competition is going to be, like I said, Sprint and T-Mobile, maybe BT. I mean, let's not forget, BT is still the biggest telecoms company in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who their competition are. I think Zoom. Well, I don't think we know Zoom's competition is Microsoft.
Yeah.
And Microsoft's competition is Zoom. I don't even hear people talking about Cisco in those conversations anymore.
Or the latest one that Google has decided to tell all employees that they shouldn't be using Zoom. Yeah, Google has told all their employees that they're not supposed to use Zoom. I wonder what platform they could use instead.
Gee.
I wonder. Before this is the last one, and then we're going to let Graham put his kids to bed. But guys, what do you make out of the absolutely speculation that's going on? I know in England especially, 5G and linked with COVID-19 and mass. There was 2 mass in the west of Ireland that were destroyed, like put on fire, destroyed.
So to start with, I have to be really careful what I say, because NEC are one of the co-owners of the technology.
Wow. Okay.
So, but I mean, should we start talking about conspiracy theories about Building 7 in 9/11 again? As to the fact that it was CIA, it was the reserve vault for the whole of America, and like all that money. Do you know what? People will always have an opinion, whether it's based on facts, science, or fiction. And if they can get enough people to believe their opinions, people will start thinking it's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I had this very conversation over, talking about communication platforms, here we go. I had this very same conversation over Snapchat with my 17-year-old son on Sunday. I woke up to the fact that, yeah, you've seen 5G is causing all this blah, blah, blah with like COVID-19. I'm like, where do you read this stuff? Yeah. I must have sent him 70, 80 links. I just like one link after another, just saying this is dispelled. All the social media platforms are being told to move to shut this down because it's fake news.
Well, Graham,
we shouldn't also forget as well, Justin. I mean, 5G hasn't just popped up in January and COVID-19 came in February.
Exactly.
5G's been in test routes since like 2015.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 or 5 years old maturity in some parts around the world.
The only
if it's correctly linked to it, what is it? Because they've just turned all the antennas on?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
The only videos that I have seen, though, Graham, is which I said, well, how are they faking? If these are fake, how are they faking it? And it was a load of birds dropping from the sky around hospitals and places that had masks. And I'm thinking to myself, is this just the fact that someone's made a video to conspire against it? Like, can it affect animals? I don't know. You know, but it's definitely not COVID-19 related. That's
the only article I've read which really made me sit back and think there might be something is that in the timelines of viruses to technology, and I can't remember which way around it was now. Was it maybe SARS was within a year of 3G going, and then it was bird flu within a year of like 4G going, and now, I mean, you had somebody who's written it from a science point of view, but tried to flex the truth as far as they can before it snaps.
Yeah.
And I just, they have to realize that these companies spend billions, if not tens of billions of dollars on research monthly. They have so many red tapes, executive bodies, authentications, encryptions they have to jump through before they're even allowed to say, we can sell this, let alone turn it on. Right. I mean, they are 10, 15 years in the making before anybody ever hears about it. If it was that bad, we would never have heard about it. It would have been shut down years ago.
Yeah.
And not only that, but, you know, correlation does not equal causation.
No.
You know, like, you know, you can draw graphs between anything and start saying this equals this, but that's not the case. And we all know that. Furthermore, if we're going to talk about now, let's look at 150 years ago when electricity first came on, you know? People wrote, like, there's all kinds of stories about what people thought electricity was doing, and that's where a lot of these horror stories come from. I mean, look at Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yep.
You know, that came as a result of electricity being turned on. It's a fantasy story, you know, and, you know, there's a lot of allegories that can be taken from that. But, you know, the steam engine, trains. I saw there's a little meme going around, you know, that a lot of women are posting, and it's like, well, remember when trains first came out? You know, everyone said, women, don't ride trains because your uterus will fall out. It's like,
what? Yeah.
Come on. People are crazy all over the place, and the craziest always rises to the top, right? Now, because the most fantastical stuff is the stuff that people are going to latch onto because it piques our interest.
Now, the UK had some masts destroyed. Ireland has had some 5G masts destroyed. Have you heard of any being destroyed in the States?
Oh, man. Honestly, there's Trump just powers through and takes every single headline that I'm sure it's happened, but we just haven't.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good way to end that. You know, especially when you decide that you want to do a press release to talk about COVID-19 and then just decide to have a video to talk about yourself. You know, that Yeah, and a timeline that actually missed a month, and was, when questioned about it, was told it was fake news. No, it was a question. Like, it's an honest question. What happened to a month of January in your timeline?
Yeah. Well, I know that there's been some protesting going on this week from some of the more dull knives in the drawer, if you will, and they're just out in the streets blocking traffic. And on the news, I saw a doctor had actually gone out and like pleaded with all the protesters, like, please move, like, you're out in front of the hospital, emergency vehicles need to get through, and these people are just out protesting, saying COVID-19 is a hoax. It's a hoax. It's all made up. It's all fake news, but here, hundreds of thousands of people are dying around the world. The death toll is only going to get bigger.
Yeah.
And, people are just mincing words and trying to point to some type of partisanship or some 5G technology or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, and Mike, there's a great point you just said there. I mean, if people actually were to make this as a correlation of deaths around the world, I mean, why have people not? And by the way, I don't want to draw comparisons. I need to make that very, very clear before I start with what I'm about to say. Why have people not made comparisons to a technology to, say, cancer?
Yeah,
which is still one of the biggest killers globally.
Yeah.
Still today outweighs the number of deaths that COVID-19 has claimed. I mean, I've lost friends, family, loved ones, and that illness, that disease is ruthless. It will pick anybody, any gender, any creed, any age, any time. It does not care. It doesn't have a selection process. I mean, the fact that when COVID-19 was first an implosion, when it's like, okay, people are going to have underlying health issues, it's going to be 70-year-old plus. I mean, I don't think those guidelines were probably based on, I'm fairly certain those guidelines weren't based on anything metric or measured, because they hadn't had enough time to measure it.
No.
They were based purely on stipulation of assuming that because they're going after the respiratory system, people with underlying health issues and people with 70 years plus are the people that are most liable or likely to be contracting that illness. They would have based it on facts. They wouldn't have had the facts unless it was going to say it happened in Hubei or happened in Wuhan, and that's what we're basing the facts on. That would have been the only way they could have done it. And I mean, I sit there and see Boris Johnson and the chief science officer and the chief medical officer for the UK saying, yeah, we may have a vaccination like in 6 to 9 months. And then I hear Donald Trump saying we'll have 100,000 of them in like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, what does he know? Or what is he doing that the rest of the world has no idea about?
Meanwhile, like,
Wuhan don't have vaccinations, and they've been clear of it.
Meanwhile, cutting off the funding to the WHO, like, obviously they have special scientists that have solved like the whole world, and they're going to keep them in America, and only America is going to have the cure.
Well, as I said earlier, healthcare, the costs is just astronomical over here, and there's a lot of, we can talk about this all day and get into it, but there's one underlying factor that I believe is driving a lot of this. I think Trump is probably going to make some money off of whoever makes that vaccine first, right? He's probably already making money off this hydroxychloroquine thing, which all these doctors who are in Trump's camp keep talking about. It's selling, so they're all making money off of it. It's hard to look at this situation and that human factor, that empathy, that Doom started with, the human factor, and to just go in and say, oh, okay, of course our government's going to take care of us. They're the government. They have to. And then you look at the things they're saying, you look at where those wheels are turning and what they're pointing to, and then you realize, you know what? No, they're not. They're not thinking human first. They're thinking money first.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're looking at how do we reopen the economy? Yeah. Who cares about the economy right now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On that note, guys, I thank you once again for joining us. We have covered 5G. It's all a myth. stop burning down the mast, because we do want to have fast broadband as we work from home. We also have discussed Zoom and the fact that people are still going to stay with Zoom. I think we've all agreed to that, and just use security properly. And who knows, I might end up like Graham in a couple of weeks' time with a bald head and Mike as well.
Do it.
Yeah,
Do it, Justin.
Do it.
It's free and liberating, I promise you.
Either that or just do a crazy mohawk or something like that.
Yeah, mohawk. There you go. Mohawk, and then dye it the Irish national colours. There you go. For the next podcast.
The All Things TechIE podcast is a product of the Extreme Media Network. For advertising and sponsorship opportunities, please visit www.extrememedia.ie. That's XTREME media.ie.